RotoGrinders Today. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. BlenderHD. BlenderHD, if you want to follow me on Twitter. And it's Thursday, May 9th, the slow day in MLB. We'll be taking a look at the early 1:10 p.m. Eastern slate on DraftKings for MLB. There's also another 3-game slate later tonight. We'll have crunch time for both of those. So if you want to tune back in here on the YouTube channel at around 12:40 or so Eastern for the early slate, and about 7:10 for the late slate. Kevin Roth will be on with I believe Squirrel Patrol and Keith Eister, and they'll be breaking down, crunch time right before lock, all the plays, all the picks, all the everything, all the weather updates. But we'll take a little first look, see at the early slate. Hit that thumbs up button on your way in the door. You know how much I like the thummy thumbs. Give me those thumbs, give me those subscribe buttons, and give me those notification bells. We're here with Will Priester, Chief Justice, the proprietor of Chief's Prop Shop in the Discord. As we said before we came on the show, Thursday baseball kind of sucks, right?
Listen, it's rough, Blender. I will say at least we do get some good pitching today, but like we were talking about, when you break this thing up into 3 games, it's just not as exciting. It really hampers, maybe your approach a little bit, and a few things that you would like to do. It's just the Thursdays are slow, and then then Blender, then Friday we get 50 games. That's exaggeration, but my point is we get a really rough slate on Thursday, and then a really monstrosity of a slate on Friday. But you guys don't care about Friday; you care about today. Some interesting stuff today, but once again, really small slate, and they split into 2. So,
right, the split into 2 is the thing that always annoys me, and it's not just from a DFS side; it's also from a prop side. Is that on Thursdays, what ends up happening a lot of the times is that you go to bed at 1 a.m, and they only have props up for like the first 3 games.
Yeah.
Then you wake up, and like by the time the props get up for by the time the props get up for the later games, some of those numbers may have already moved by the time you woke up in the morning. And it's like one of those things where if you're only going to have props up for sometimes it's not even for all 3 games overnight. If sometimes you may see pitcher props for only 3 of the pitchers, and it's like, oh, I got 2 bets, and that's it. I'm going to sleep. It's not the same as on if they just scheduled all these games at 1 o'clock Eastern, then it'd be okay, I could probably get everything in overnight. And then if they schedule these all for 7 o'clock Eastern, it'd be oh, I don't even I'll just wait in the morning and wait and get everything there. So it's gonna, your work is always spread out because there's only 6 games and they're all spread out, and starting lineups, we'll get starting lineups out. Obviously we have some out for the 1 o'clock games right now, but then you still got to wait. There's a 5 o'clock game, the Astros Yankees. Then there's 7 o'clock. There's a 9:30. You feel you start to feel like it's NBA again. You're just waiting for starting lineups all throughout the day. For at least me, when it comes to MLB, I like having very defined times. I want 3 times. Give me overnight before I go to sleep. I wake up in the morning, right? 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. And then give me 4-ish o'clock, 4 or 5 o'clock. Most of the lineups are out for the day. Some of the West Coast teams, maybe not so much. You can start hitting those hitting props, and then you're done. It's 3 little scheduled times. And
that's the beauty of baseball.
Thursdays, it feels like I need to have 6 different scheduled times. And then even at those times, you can't find anything because there's only 6 games.
Yeah. And listen, that's the beauty of baseball, Blender. Some people, when we're for guys like us, we see baseball season, Blender, and we're doing this. We're oh, buddy, this is great. And they're well, we feel like baseball sucks. You guys have missed the point. Baseball in totality is one of the best because of what you talked about. Morning, or late at night, early in the morning, mid-afternoon. Those are your times. You don't have to play this guessing game like NBA. I mean, NBA, you can be at your computer all day, Blender, waiting for news. Look, guys in 7 o'clock, he's out. Oh, he's going to play tonight. So either way, and then I did want to make this comment yesterday before I went to sleep last night, Blender. I was kind of checking some of the pick'em sites and stuff like that, and they only had the 5 o'clock game. I said, "What? What? You're only giving me Yankees, Astros, Blanc." It was so weird. I said, "I'm going to sleep." I just got up. I got up this morning and put a few things in, but it was awful. But anyway, 3-game early slate. Let's get to it.
Yeah, pick'ems on Thursdays are even worse because it's like you want to make these 5 or 6 flex ones, and it's like not only it's hard enough as it is with only 6 games, but then when you have only props up for 3 of the games, and some of the props aren't even up, and you're just like, I who cares, right?
Yeah.
To me, I'm more interested in DFS today, and on these 3-game slates. We'll talk about this early one. I'm more willing. I think this we were going to talk about this, but obviously before the show. I'm more willing on small slates like this to almost disregard the projections to some degree, because on 3-game slates, like we see this slate, we have Arizona, Cincinnati, we have Seattle, Minnesota, we have the Coors game. Okay, it's quite obvious. I mean, the total in the Minnesota game is 6.5. I mean, and so many lineups are going to be playing 1 or 2 of Lopez and Gilbert in that game, and then finding bats in like Coors and like maybe some Cincinnati bats, right?
Yep.
Because not many people are going to play Slade Ciccone today. He's probably shouldn't, but I mean, he's one of the lowest projected pitchers, and he's 7,100. Like, a lot of the lineups are going to look like that. On a 3-game slate, it's hard to get away from anything because there's only 6 teams to choose from. So I tend to rely a lot more on leverage to win, even though my probability of cashing is going to go way down.
Yeah.
But when I see Pablo Lopez, highest projected pitcher on the slate, 9,300. The bat has him at 21 and a half. Next highest is Logan Gilbert, who's 10K, 17 and a half. Then Hunter Green, 16. And then we get down to Keaton Wynn in Colorado, against Colorado, 13. Mm-hmm. Then Ciccone at 10 and Quantrill just under 10.
Yeah.
Like my natural heuristic is to think in terms of which team am I stacking, the Mariners, the Twins? Because so much ownership is going to be on those 2 pitchers that how else am I going to get different and gain above the field? Like if 65% of lineups have Pablo Lopez and he fails, like Seattle is going to be the winner. I mean, because so many other 65% of lineups are getting negative points while I'm getting positive points.
Yeah,
that makes so much more of a difference on a 3-game slate than on a 10-game slate.
Yeah, and it could be higher than that, Blender. Really, by the time we get closer to, it could be pushing 70-ish, 80, 70 to 75. But Eric Johnson is saying Lopez isn't that good. Eric, don't do that. Like, just Pablo's a good pitcher, so don't. That's false. Okay, Lopez is a good pitcher, but from a because you mentioned leverage, Blend, and I think it's important to share this one today because we're not going to have a whole lot to talk about later on in the show. Pablo Lopez is going to be, let's just call it 65% owned. The Mariners are going to get practically no ownership. Like if the Mariners happen, Blender, and I'm saying happen because this team is striking out at a clip that I haven't seen in a long time.
They strike out so much. I mean, Lopez's just to be clear, Pablo Lopez's strikeout prop is like 8. 7.5.
It's 7.5 to 8.5 in most places. It's between 7.5 and 8.5. Like,
but the point that I was making is not the Mariners or in particular, or not even to attack Lopez, but the 3 highest owned pitchers are going to be Lopez, Gilbert, and Green.
Yeah.
So to me, like play two. You could play two of them and then stack against the other one, or play one of the cheaper pitchers like Keaton Winn, but one of the Coors pitchers. Probably win over because the Rockies aren't very good. I don't think Keaton Winn is very good, but at 6K, what does he really have to do on a 3-game slate? And then just hope you play Keaton Winn with Lopez or with Green or with Gilbert. But I still think that the easiest path to first place on small slates like this is to pick a team against the chalkier pitcher and hope for the best, and knowing that a lot of the time you're not going to cash. A lot of the time, Pablo Lopez is going to have his 8 strikeouts. Hunter Green is going to have his 7 strikeouts. Logan Gilbert's going to have his 6, 7 strikeouts. Maybe one of them gives up 3 or 4 runs in the process, but Arizona breaks the slate or something. I mean, like some that's not the they scored a couple of runs, but you didn't need them. Right, like that's the most likely outcome. But on the days where Hunter Green like implodes in 2 innings, or Logan Gilbert just decides to not throw strikes, right, and gets hit around for 5 runs in 3 innings, or Pablo Lopez for whatever reason loses control sometimes and walks 3 guys and gives up a grand slam. Like those are the days that like no one can come back and try to beat you. Like when Pablo Lopez is sitting there with only 2 points and he's 70% owned, while your Seattle guys have 3 home runs in your lineup. There's nowhere else for your opponents to go. There's only 3 games. So it's not like well, the Dodgers may come back. Like there's nothing else. It's like they can't have anyone in their lineups that could beat you. So It's so much easier. It's going to be a lower scoring slate. I rely more on that on these slates. But understand that I'm going to lose like most of the time. You almost have to accept on these slates that very similar to Showdown, like NFL or even NBA during these playoffs. Like it's just so much more valuable to play Showdown lineups that aren't duplicated 184 times. You're going to lose more often, but when you win, you win with 4 or 5 other lineups, not 180 of them. And I view these types of slates the same way of, I don't play as much volume. I play 3 or 4 lineups. I'll play a stack against Lopez, a stack against Green, a stack against Gilbert, and then I just put down my phone and go, let's hope one of these things happen. And then if it doesn't, next Thursday I'll do it again, and I'll keep on doing it until I get 10K on the time that it happens. Right? Like that's kind of the mindset that you need to have.
Yeah, and that's really where I was headed, Blender, just kind of talking about that, because I think this scenario specifically speaks to kind of the overall way you have to think about it. Like, especially if you're somebody like me, like in baseball, I typically am mostly MME. Like I was kind of more single entry back in the day. Now I'm more so, 150 or bust. And
we flipped, Will. We flipped because I'm more smaller field, mid stakes type of, play 5 or 6 lineups type of thing, and that's it.
Yeah. And now I'm more so than me. But my point is, like, if you're running 150 lineups today, listen to me carefully, guys. You're gonna have enough room to get in Seattle and Minnesota stacks. And in fact, in some of those, I would just stack them both together. Because if for some reason that game score goes off and Coors fails and the other game, like I can assure you, you've already about won the slate right out of the gate. Like Blender, can you imagine if Seattle scores 8 runs in the first inning? Like you've probably already won. Like without doing anything else, you've about locked up the slate. This is not me telling you that Seattle's going to do this. It's a really tight slate. And this is a slate where I would usually lock in Pablo Lopez, Blender. And I haven't decided whether I'm going to or not. I'm just talking strategy here about how you kind of want to play it. Because the other thing, Blender, there's really only one other extreme to me. And that's lock Pablo Lopez or lock Logan Gilbert and completely fade the first game and literally run every single bat combination from the last 2. So I think those are the 2 extremes you want to run with this particular slate. But I do but the easiest path to victory not the most, and I want to make this clear. The easiest path, not the most likely path, okay? The easiest path is to stack Minnesota and Seattle because all the ownership for pitching is going to be in that game, or most of it, rather. So just wanted to kind of put that out there. And I'm not sure who all says this in the industry, Blender, but you're going to have to be comfortable. If you want to win GPPs, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And if you can't get comfortable, like you can't have any emotional attachment to this. Like if you want to win GPPs, you have to go big or you go home. That's how you win. And that doesn't mean you don't use the projections. You don't. That's not what Blender and I are saying. We're saying you have to be different enough. And on a slate like this, the biggest edge is stacking in the first game. And I'll leave it there.
Right. So, I mean, I could go to SimLabs right now. We've had, this is the 10 a.m. update because we don't have the lineups for cores yet. So I'm going to run 150 in SimLabs, and I'm going to focus a lot on ownership, right? I'm going to put this up very high. I'm going to focus a lot. Not, I don't care as much about anything else other than the simulation weight and the ownership. Ownership meaning like the optimal rates of the players. Okay, it doesn't mean how high owned or low owned they are. So you can see here optimal versus projected ownership. Like we give you these little charts. Like here are the pitchers on the slate. So our Sims say that Pablo Lopez is going to be vastly over owned. That doesn't mean that he shouldn't be owned. It's just that he's going to be over-owned, right? And Hunter Green is going to be over-owned, while Logan Gilbert's going to be under-owned, and Keaton Witten's going to be under-owned. So the more that I up this ownership weight, the more it'll focus on players that are under-owned relative to their optimal rate.
Yeah.
And less on the ones that they're over-owned. It doesn't mean I'm still going to get plenty of Pablo Lopez. But it's only going to appear in lineups that the total ownership is lower in general because the leverage has to be built into the lineup. That's what SimLabs does. Like that's the key to SimLabs. SimLabs, just like in Theory of DFS, my DFS course, the 3 levers of DFS: projection, correlation, and leverage. Now, when you go into Lineup HQ, you could heuristically build those things in. Right? I'm just going to build these types of stacks and these types. And then you have to judge the lineups for yourself of, is this enough leverage? Am I sacrificing too much projection? I have to hard code the correlation in with the stacks page, right? 5x, 5-3, 4-2, everything. You have to do all of that yourself manually. SimLabs, it does it for you. Like all those, whatever blend of projection, correlation, and leverage for the slate, for the size of the slate, right? For the type of contest. That's why we have those options there. It will do it for you based on the RotoGrinders projections. So that's why a lot of times I do use SimLabs to build a candidate set of lineups and then bring it into Lineup HQ and whittle it down from there using the bat projections. So here we go. We're getting Arizona. Okay, so if I just take a look at the exposure section, right? Starting pitchers. So look, still getting 62% Pablo Lopez. So it's not like Pablo Lopez, according to SimLabs, is over-owned. But he also is the highest projected pitcher by like 5 points. So like you just have to play him smartly. Logan Gilbert, 63%. It seems like the odd man out is Hunter Green. That you're seeing here in the Diamondbacks. 38%, getting a lot of the not 2% Seattle Mariners. So even though heuristically I'm like, I'd like to play a lineup against Pablo Lopez. I mean, the Sims would prefer the Sims seem to prefer attacking Hunter Green more so than Gilbert or Lopez.
Yeah.
So you see here a lot of 5-man Arizona stacks. 5-man Arizona stacks. We got obviously the Reds against Slade Ciccone or whatever his name is, but I mean they're going to be popular. I mean, are they going to even be they may be the most popular stack?
Yeah,
or maybe the Giants.
And let me just
Giants,
say
the Reds.
this: Cody has a low projection. Sneakily, I like him for tournaments today.
Who?
I think there's some strikeouts in this lineup, and if he could just not get blown up, Blender, which is obviously every pitcher. We need every pitcher not get blown up. If he cannot get blown up, I think he goes probably. We've got the projection on him is around 10, right?
Who are we talking about?
Slade.
Oh yeah, 10.73.
Yeah,
I mean, it's mostly a pitch. I mean, obviously, he's not good, but it's a more of a pitch count thing.
Yeah.
I mean, 82 pitches. I mean, here's the lowest strikeout prop. Actually, Cal Quantrill has the lowest strikeout prop, but that makes sense. I mean, I'd just rather just play Keaton Wynn, personally.
Yeah, I get it.
I played Kyle Harrison the other day, and I mean, he essentially shut him out for 7 innings.
Yeah, no strikeouts, but
two. I think he had 2 or 3 strikeouts.
Sorry, I knew he had to. I just meant like he wasn't like at like 5 or 6. Like it was literally one of those clean bad.
Right, we got 20 fantasy points doing nothing, just here and there you have it. And the Rockies just can't hit, and that's the way it is.
Yep, that's what it was. So I agree with you, man. But I this slate is interesting, and we'll it is what it is. Like it's a terrible slate. So like Blender and I aren't going to lie to you. This is a terrible slate, but you can still play it.
Yeah, but this is what I would look. I mean, look, you got a Mariners lineup right here. I mean, even though the Mariners only showed up in 2%, but this lineup rates out very well. Where you're playing Gilbert, Wynn, 5-man Mariners stack, Tovar at shortstop, and then Christian Walker and Corbin Carroll. Like, this is the type of line. This is what I want to. These are the lineups I want to play. Like this. In fact, like, why don't I? I mean, these lineups are these. This is other than Tovar, right? I'm literally. This is how much I'm going to trust in SimLabs. I'm going to go right now. So I haven't made my lineups yet.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna play. I'm just playing this lineup. Will literally just don't dupe me. But
we're good.
Right, Christian Walker. Right, I'm literally doing it live on the air. While I do this, do you got any prize picks or underdog stuff?
Oh man, nah, slim pickings today. I did get something in on pick 6. I took Lopez more than 7.5 strikeouts, and I took Gilbert more than 19.5 fantasy points. But that's more so because I do think Gilbert clears 20 plus today. I do think this is the best pitching matchup. So despite how I feel about DFS and the fact that if you want to win, you need to get exposure to Minnesota, Seattle, or when I say if you want to win, I'm saying if you want to exponentially increase your chances at first place easily, I think that's the way to go. I still think Gilbert and Lopez as pitchers are better than both of these lineups they're going to face today. So I got that in. I was able to grab I got more juice than I wanted on this, but you guys have to understand that I don't really have sports books, so I have to kind of get it in. I got Gilbert and Lopez over 17.5 pitching outs, which basically suggests they're going to clear 6 innings. I got that, and I just those are some things I got in. And Blender, by virtue of me talking through this slate, that tells you how awful the props are. Like it's a rough day.
Why do you think I was in such a bad mood in the beginning? I'm like, I don't like these Thursdays where like there's not the props get released late and then they come out and then there's nothing. There's still nothing. Yeah, and it's like, oh, okay. That why did I wait for that?
Yeah.
That
so I really, I didn't do a whole lot in the prop game today. Like I just,
but me neither. That's why do you think I'm in a bad mood?
Yeah, it just and that's another thing too, Blender. Like I think people should understand that you don't have to reach. So I already told my wife before she left and went to work this morning. Like she needed to go into a school this morning to do something, but she is coming back later. Besides the point, I told her, I said, "Hey, babe," I said, "Yeah, I looked over the slate. I got my content done early, Blender, before our show. And I said, I think this might be my weekend today. Because I looked at the slate. I said, nah, I said, I'm not going to sit here and, try to get too involved with the slate today. So I'm saying that, folks, to say from a real life perspective, you don't have to overreach. If you just got 2 props in, which is basically what I've got today, brother. I think I got 3 or 4, but like it's nothing to write home about.
Right.
I got those in, and I'm just going to be done for the day. I'm going to go watch TV. I might go out to lunch and sit at a restaurant. Like that's my day. I'm not going to sit here and beat myself up because I can't get any action. I'll get plenty of action tomorrow on this 12-game slate.
Right. Well, you know me with how much I do. It's like having like 23 in is like like only 20. Like I average the amount of props that I typically have on a day of baseball is somewhere between 120 and 130.
Yeah.
Right. So like 23 is like.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Blender. So let's talk through that. And I'm saying that to cement your point. So the amount of cards I'm probably going to have on an MLB slate on the pick'em site, 5 and 6 picks mostly, I'm probably going to have 10 most days, and because I'm mixing and matching. Fine. Oh, I got that. I pull this. And so in order for me to increase the ROI, I've got to have exposure to certain things. I was looking at my screen, Blender, and I'm going to use Prize Picks specifically. I don't have one full MLB card in right now.
Right, because you're mixing and matching basketball and hockey and everything else that's on.
I've got one that's MLB and golf, and that's it. Like I haven't played anything. The board's terrible. So I'm just telling, like, and the guys in the prop shop know too, like, it's a terrible day. Like, it's awful. So we're going to be playing tennis and some other stuff. Baseball is at the back of the pack today. But yeah, I've got one card in for baseball, and it's baseball and tennis. I mean, baseball and golf. And that's it. And that's all I'm going to put in. I'm not putting anything else
for you. Today is a Netflix and chill type of day.
Yes. I've been watching Power. I'm on Power Book 4 now, so I'll probably finish that series today. I've got a movie.
What are you watching? Say that again. What are you watching?
Oh, okay. So you remember this? Have you heard of the show Power?
Power? No.
Yeah.
No.
So okay. So Power was on Stars, and or is on Stars.
What is it about? What the hell is the Power? Just that's the name of the Power.
That's the name of the show, Power, and it's about a guy. So the Power original series, which was about 6 seasons, is basically about a guy, James St. Patrick. His nickname is Ghost. He's a drug dealer. And what he's trying to do, Blender, is go legit. So that's kind of the theme of the show, right? He wants to get out of the drug game, and he wants to be clean, and he wants to be a real businessman, so forth and so on. But he just can't get away from it. Now that the original Power is done, okay? That show is done. But they've had spin-off shows.
This used to be on USA. It's a crime drama type of show.
Yeah, and they've had spin-offs, and so now I'm on the 4th spin-off, which is about Tommy, which was like his best friend. And Tommy, at the end of season 6, well, I don't want to spoil it for anyone that hasn't watched it, but so I won't say what happened, because if I do that, it's going to spoil it for those who haven't watched it. But Power Book 4, which is nicknamed Force, is about Tommy Egan, who is now relocated to Chicago and is kind of trying to start his empire. So that's what it's about. So I'm on 4, and so there you have it. So I'll probably finish that season or that series today, because I'm not getting involved with anything else. I'll have a rehearsal tonight. And that's my day, Blender. I already told my wife, hey, this is going to be my kind of weekend day, because on Saturday, my son's coaching a basketball tournament. My son's 16, by the way, already wants to get into coaching, taking after his old man. So he's coaching a basketball tournament, and we're taking my mother-in-law for Mother's Day. And then I've got crunch time at 6:30 on Saturday. So my weekend this weekend isn't going to be the same. And my son will be coaching on Sunday as well. So no, I don't have crunch time this Sunday. So that's kind of my weekend. So today is probably going to be my weekend because tomorrow we are going to go out, but also have a show tomorrow. I think I'm on Grinders Live tomorrow for that 12-game slate, Blender. So there you have it. And we made it 30 minutes. Look at us. We made it.
Yeah, we did it. We did it. And I didn't have to mention any awful metal bands in order to do it.
There you go.
We watched yesterday's show.
There you go.
We got crunch time later in about an hour or so.
Yeah.
Roth will be on with Squirrel Patrol and Keith Eister talking about. They'll probably talk about the more probable things, right? Like I went into. I mean, essentially, like I'm literally. This is the lineup I'm playing, people. I mean, like that was on the screen. That Mariners lineup. I'm hoping Pablo Lopez just dies. I'm just playing Pablo Lopez dies lineup. And if it wins, it wins. And if it doesn't, oh, be it. That was it. I think
he can die as long as he gets his 8 strikeouts.
Right. I got $30 on it. So like that. There you go. Ooh. Like it's not the end of the world if that lineup doesn't do well.
Yeah. And he's 8.5 in most places now, for what it's worth. He's 7.5 with really heavy juice and 8.5 for plus money. So really, let me talk about this real quick, and we can get out of here. Let me say this, folks, for those people, if you think, hear me out. If you really think Seattle's this bad, don't play the 7.5, just play the 8.5 for plus 135 on DraftKings. Okay.
Right, you're talking about the under. You're talking about the under.
No, I'm talking about the over. So right now you've got.
See, the thing is, I already have the over. So it's like, truthfully, if Lopez has a good game, I think I make more money. Like, even though my DFS lineup sucks. I mean, like, they're two completely different things.
That's what I'm saying.
That's I don't play DFS to like, what do I think is going to happen? It's like, no, how do I win $25,000 today with this lineup? Yeah. It's like, well, if Lopez fails, this is how I do it. Yeah. It doesn't matter that I have his over 7.5 strikeouts.
Right. What did you get it at, by the way, Blender? What did you get that number at, roughly? What were the
like minus 111, minus 1 something like that.
So and we'll close the show out with this, or this be my last comment.
I could check. I think it was like 110 or 115. Like it was normal.
Right.
Like
right.
normal.
Which is
like
fantastic.
It's now up to like I think minus 150 or minus 155.
Right.
And I got it like minus 115.
Yeah, you can get it on FanDuel at minus 134. You can get it on Bet River at minus 148. But the point I was trying to make here is, if you really think Pablo Lopez is going to dominate this team, like really dominate this team, what I'm trying to tell you, audience, don't play the heavy juice at 7.5. Just play 8.5 for plus 135. That's the play now. You get what I'm saying? Because even minus 8.5 is like minus 170. So it
depends on what the value of that strikeout is. It would depend.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying to say, don't lay the heavy juice on the 7.5. You're going to come out more profitable, even if you lose today, taking the over 8.5 at plus 130. That's really what I'm trying to say.
A good way to balance that out, if you wanted to. I'm not saying that this. If they're both the same EV, right? The over 7.5 and the over 8.5 at the plus money, split it up. So, for instance, if you're betting $100, like bet 75 on over 7.5 and 25
and 25 on the 8.5. There you go.
Right,
there
you paid a little extra when it goes over.
Yeah,
you still make your money even though it's minus 135 or whatever.
Yep.
You can do that. I mean,
that's a version of a ladder for those of you that like to ladder. That's a version of a ladder.
I think I did that last week with Joe Ryan, and it came out very well. I didn't get the 9 strikeout one.
Yeah,
but I took his over 6.5, 7.5, and 8.5.
Yeah, Blender, and that's how you do it. That's how you do it.
Right.
Oh, I mean, Blender, you're getting me really excited on this terrible slate right now. Get us out of here.
Yeah, but there's nothing available. Will. There's nothing to be excited about. Nothing's available.
Well, this is about how you ladder the Joe Ryan. Like that's
but only if it's worthwhile. I mean, this is when the books priced those alt ones. It was a day where the Joe Ryan alts on FanDuel were just priced wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just took them. I didn't take the over, the main over on FanDuel. I took the main over on like Bet365. But
Yeah.
the alt, if you looked at the alts, like the alt 7.5 on like Bet365 was like plus 135, and on FanDuel it was like plus 158. And I'm
Yeah.
like, why the hell is it that? Okay, give it to me. And then I went to the 8.5, and that was off
Yeah.
also. Because
Yeah.
typically Bet365 has like the best price. It's
Hmm.
rare that Bet365 compared to FanDuel is that big of a gap.
Yeah.
But it was only on the alt. See, the thing is, the Bet365 price on the main prop was the same as FanDuel,
Yeah.
right? It's just the alts were different. So, like,
Hmm.
well, I'm going to take advantage of FanDuel not pricing their alts properly. But
Absolutely.
you only find them every once in a while. That's not like a common occurrence.
Yeah.
That's why it's like for this Lopez thing, I'm more likely to do the laddering when I could find discrepancies like that than just do it
Yeah.
because I don't like
And
taking like if you're taking minus 150, what do I care if it's I don't care. Like I take minus 400s all the time. Who cares? Right? Give me my $12. I don't care. I'm betting
yeah.
I'm betting on a ton of stuff like that. So give me my $8 here and my $14. I don't care. Doesn't matter to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying for Lopez. And I promise we're going to get out of here, folks. Man, how do we stretch this show? This is great content. We can stretch this terrible of a slate into 30 real minutes of content. But like right now, you can get Lopez at 8.5 at plus 135 on MGM and DraftKings. And then you're getting the best price right now, at least based on scores and odds. You're getting Lopez at minus 134 at 7.5 on FanDuel. That's your best one because it's
Right.
minus 148. So if you want to, I'm just kind of trying to tell you where to go if you want to do that. All right, Blender.
Yeah, but you can see the number. The number really hasn't moved that much. Like getting it at minus 115 isn't like the biggest of deals. But I mean, obviously, I want to get the best. Obviously, I'm always trying to get the best price.
Yeah.
Right. I'm trying to get the most closing line value. But yeah. So if Lopez goes over, I'm fine with that. I'll burn my DFS lineup to the ground. I don't care. Right. If
Yeah.
Lopez implodes, I'll see you on the top of the leaderboards.
There you go.
Will, do you have anything else other than Netflix and chill today you're coming out with over the weekend?
Nothing too serious. Like I said, I'll be on Grinders Live tomorrow. I'll be doing Crunch Time on Saturday. And of course, I'll be on the morning grind tomorrow morning with Stevie TPFL. So that's kind of my audio video content for the rest of the weekend here. And hey, let's have a great day with these limited props, and hopefully I can take down something over the weekend.
And if you want to talk about the USA, former USA show Power, go to
Hey,
Chiefs Prop Shop.
Hop in
Seems
there.
like
We talk about it all the time.
Maybe it's a slow day in the prop shop, and you'll have a nice, a nice like Netflix watch party or something in there. You're all
that's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. We might do that one day. Thank you, Blender. Thank you.
But everyone else could hit that thumbs up button on your way out the door. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Hit the notification bell. Like I said, an hour from now, we got crunch time. Then it's about 7 o'clock for the 7 o'clock Eastern for the late slate. Another crunch time. I'll be on tomorrow with Squirrel Patrol talking about the MMA, the UFC card coming out. Very good UFC card. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I think it's going to be very good for DFS. So check that out tomorrow morning because I'm here with you, as always, Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock Eastern, talking about all things you're thinking about in daily fantasy, props and pick 'em on RotoGrinders Today.